Well, happening now, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendell joins us to update our local COVID-19 outbreak and to talk more about his new role in reopening the region. Plus, where to watch a military flyover here in Chautauqua County.
And lots of clouds are around today with a few rain and snow showers, but some better weather is ahead. I've got the full forecast next as the news at noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Well, some good news in the fight against COVID-19. The number of active cases remained steady yesterday here in Chautauqua County. Here's a look at the updated COVID-19 tracking map, where there remains a total of 42 confirmed cases with 6 active right now. So far, a total of 32 patients have recovered from the virus, and a total of 4 have died of COVID-19 related symptoms since the outbreak began. Cattaraugus County also reported no new change in their numbers yesterday. Well, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendell will be working with other local leaders, part of a control group, in an effort to reopen our region. Speaking via a Zoom press conference yesterday, New York Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul says that Wendell will be joined by other elected officials from Western New York, including Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz and Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown. She says there are many factors that local leaders need to take into account to determine reopening, including the number of hospitalizations and the outcome of those patients. She added that the area is headed in a more positive direction now, with Western New York hitting its tracking and testing metrics.
We can get there if we can continue doing what we've been doing so successfully, and then it'll start unlocking the key slowly to reopening the economy, which every one of us desperately want to see happen.
The Lieutenant Governor also explained that if the control group sees the number of coronavirus cases spiking too fast, they will either have to pause the reopening or scale back that phase that they're in. Now, as of Sunday, Western New York is hitting 5 of the Governor Andrew Cuomo's 7 benchmarks required to reopen. Well, speaking of, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed an executive order extending his legal authority to push back the state's May 15th New York on pause deadline, but stopped short of moving that date, according to his top advisor. Secretary to the governor, Melissa DeRosa, says that the order was not extended to June, but rather the underlying legal authority was prolonged. Here locally, some residents are getting frustrated with the restrictions, with some even taking to the streets in protest. For the second week in a row, residents in the Jamestown area gathered to protest New York's pause order and called on state and local leaders to reopen the area. In addition to around 50 people who mostly called out Governor Andrew Cuomo's order, there was one counter-protester who wanted to shine a light on public health and safety.
It's one thing to protest, get your views across, but my concern is people are jeopardizing other people's health.
That's Jamestown resident William Lucas, with clipboard and pen in hand, walked around the protest site asking residents who were not wearing a mask and violating the state's pause order to sign a release form declining medical treatment for COVID-19.
I'm just here to point out some basic hypocrisies, possibly. Maybe somebody will sign this and keep it.
Town of Ellicott resident Diana Lenska says she's protesting to support the rights of American citizens, the Constitution, and the truth.
As you notice, larger businesses are being allowed to stay open, of course with certain restrictions, but they're being allowed to stay open. How many small businesses are going to be able to survive this? Many are closing already throughout the country.
She declined to sign Lucas's COVID-19 release form. She says she took the form, however, and has been skeptical during this pandemic.
I do not accept the false narrative that has been forced upon the American people and people throughout the world. I would actually be afraid to go into a hospital. I wouldn't want to. I'd rather die in the street or die at home than go into a hospital because of what's being done. Hospitals can no longer, you know what the procedure is, they cannot treat anything except COVID-19 related.
Medical officials have said that local doctors' offices remain open. However, they've placed extra precautions due to virus concerns. Local spokesperson and organizer for the Open NY event, Garrett Kane, says that his group will be holding another demonstration next Saturday, May 16th at noon at Dow Park.
We would love to see some business owners here, especially business owners that are shut down and impacted by this. And we think getting their story and how this has impacted them, their ideas for how they could responsibly reopen and get back to work.
Governor Andrew Cuomo's Pause initiative is set to expire the day before. From there, the state is expected to use a region-by-region reopening approach, as long as those regions meet several criteria issued by the governor's office. Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell, during his Friday COVID-19 update, told us that he hopes to see Chautauqua County open sooner rather than later, but did acknowledge that any executive order from the governor's office would supersede his actions. The New York on Pause directive closed all non-essential businesses in March. Now, regions of the state that meet the governor's key benchmarks in restricting the spread of the virus will be allowed to start reopening on May 15th. The first phase includes businesses in construction, manufacturing, and retail with curbside pickup. Well, the federal government is now announcing a plan for rationing remdesivir, the only drug so far that has shown some promise in treatment for severe coronavirus patients. A shortage in that drug, though, is now putting some tough hospitals in tough position, as medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen explains.
Remdesivir, the only drug that's been shown in a large, rigorous study to fight COVID-19. Given limited supplies, the federal government has been doling it out, some hospitals getting less than they need, others getting none.
New York State is working with HHS, Health and Human Services on the federal side, administering it to 2,900 people at 15 hospitals.
The federal government has given New York enough remdesivir for 2,900 patients. But there are about 7,262 coronavirus patients in New York hospitals. That same situation playing out around the country. This vial from the first shipment of remdesivir received last week by Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, where Dr. Rochelle Walensky is chief of infectious diseases.
We know that the doses of this drug that we are going to get are not going to be enough to treat every patient that we have in the hospital now.
So they've had to make decisions about who gets remdesivir and who doesn't.
This was hard.
At Mass General, they have about 200 patients with the virus, and they have enough remdesivir for only 65 patients. And more patients are being admitted every day, and doctors don't know when they'll get more of the drug. Mass General's decision, a hospital committee, not the patient's doctor, decides who gets it.
This is not how we like to practice medicine.
But she says it's the most equitable way to do it.
It's nearly an impossible situation to be in medicine when you think that there's something you could and should be doing for somebody and you don't have it to give.
The federal government has never explained how they decided which hospitals would receive remdesivir and how much.
This drug is promising, and we want to get it to the American people and to the areas that need it most.
Saturday, the federal government said, in addition to sending remdesivir to hospital, they'd also sent to some state health departments and intend eventually to send it to all state health departments. But they haven't said how much they'll send to each state or their formula for determining those amounts.
This administration, of course, doesn't believe in transparency, but healthcare providers need to know about this.
Representative Lloyd Doggett runs the House Ways and Means Health Subcommittee and has been following the remdesivir rollout.
It has been bungled from the very beginning.
And now doctors trying to do their best to allocate this scarce resource.
Elizabeth, thank you. Another issue, doctors want to know which coronavirus patient this drug works best for, and it's been studied, but the federal government still has not published that study, so doctors don't quite have the data yet. Well, a U.S. Air Force flyover will be visiting Chautauqua County tomorrow. The 914th Air Refueling Wing of the Air Force Reserves at Niagara Falls and the Vermont National Guard will be conducting a required aerial refueling training operation that day. Now, following the training, the planes will fly over portions of western New York to salute frontline workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. 3 of those planes will break away from the formation in Buffalo and come pay us a visit here in Chautauqua County for a flyover over Chautauqua Lake. The aircraft are expected to be seen in the county between 12:15 and 12:30. Residents viewing the flyover in public areas are reminded to practice social distancing and be sure to wear your face coverings. Certainly pretty exciting, and we've probably seen that right nationally, where members of some pretty elite Air Force units flying over big cities to commemorate and honor those working on the front lines. And now here in Chautauqua County, we'll be having some planes here as well. So if you can safely get out tomorrow and do it, just make sure you do it safely. WNY News Now does have reporters assigned to this story, and we'll be trying to get the best view of the planes. And of course, we'll share them with you right here. And if you have any photos, send them our way. Just email newsdesk@wnyNewsNow.com or send them to us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you like to share photos. Make sure you use the hashtag #LocalFirst. Let's now get a check of our First Defense weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter is standing by with that. Happy Monday to you, Dakota. A little wet out there right now, though.
It is. Happy Monday, Justin, and happy Monday to all of you. Hope all the mothers had a fantastic Mother's Day yesterday, and especially over the weekend, even though it was cold and a little bit snowy here. And we've had a few light rain and snow showers moving through the area this morning. All in all, not bad. And this is going to continue in pockets for at least parts of the afternoon, but there's going to be on again, off again breaks in it, but no sunshine today. The clouds are really just socked in as a low pressure area is sitting basically right on top of us. And because that low is sitting right on top of us, that basically means really no sunshine for today. Currently, we're at 36 here in town, 36 in Mayville, 36 also in Clymer, 36 in Fredonia. That's the favorite number. 39 right now in Dunkirk, 41 in Warren, and 39 over in Erie. This is still below average, and we're going to stay that way for at least today and tomorrow, but the signs are going to be changing here as we head into the later part of the week. 54 was the high yesterday, 35 is where we bottomed out this morning, and 86 and 24 are in the record books for today. So through the afternoon today, a few scattered light rain and snow showers through the afternoon. Any accumulation will be minor, less than an inch in most spots. The lower elevations really shouldn't see anything. If you see anything, it'll be less than an inch on the highest hills, but lots of clouds around, very cold, 37 on the hills to 44 near the Lake Erie shoreline with a west wind 10 to 20 miles per hour. Some wind gusts could be near 30 miles an hour. Big changes are in the way for early next week. We're talking springtime temperatures. We'll talk about it later in the show. Justin?
Oh, looking forward to it. Dakota, thank you very much. Coming up next, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell, you see there, joins us live to talk about his new role in our region's reopening and the current state of COVID-19 here locally. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvanna Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
This is Christine Schuyler, Chautauqua County Public Health Director, with a very important message. We need you to make every effort to protect yourselves and our healthcare workers. If you absolutely don't need to go out, don't. If you have a mild cold or flu-like symptoms, with or without a fever, stay home. If your symptoms are severe, call your healthcare provider. Do not go to the emergency room or urgent care. Do not call 911 or go to the ER unless you are experiencing a life-threatening emergency. The best ways you can help prevent the spread of COVID-19 are to wash your hands often with soap and water, cover your cough, avoid close contact with others. Please stay home.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. As we reported today, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell will now be working with other local leaders, part of a control group in the effort to reopen our region. Joining us to talk more about what that role entails and how COVID-19 continues to impact us is Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell. Sir, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
First off, I want to ask, what's the goal of this new control group that the Lieutenant Governor set up, and what will be your role in it?
Well, the role of the control group, as the governor stated at the end of his press conference, will be our group that will monitor those dials, if you will, as we begin this reopening and our decisions on, as I understand it, what we need to do to adjust the flow, if you will, or what we're going to do with the pause order as it begins, and how we'll control those upticks or increases of the cases as they come about. The Lieutenant Governor, has been very open. I've had several conversations with her. She understands our circumstances here in Western New York, especially Chautauqua County. So she's well aware, and she's really, really good to work with, and very good common sense approach to opening up Western New York as we are able to, hopefully by the end of the week.
Now, many people here in our county say that they're ready now to reopen, some even protesting in Jamestown. But there are concerned that our eligibility could be impacted because of the Buffalo area and the fact that we're grouped in with them. Is that a concern that you have? And if so, is there a way that we can adjust anything?
Well, I've spoken to the Lieutenant Governor several times, and she knows our situation here in Chautauqua County, but more so the facts and the data. And our numbers are low. The two areas where we are deficient as a region, we have met here in Chautauqua County. And I think the uniqueness of 24 counties that have opened in Pennsylvania and 13 more to join them on Friday. And I've echoed those same statements with the Lieutenant Governor and yesterday on our phone call that, with bordering Pennsylvania on two sides, our residents will be traveling across that border into Pennsylvania to stretch their legs, if you will, and, do the things that they're not able to do here in Chautauqua County. So she is aware of that, and she's understanding of that. As far as us to break free from that, I don't know if that will be possible, but I have urged us to be looked at a little bit differently based on our numbers and our current situation. And also, if you look at Dr. Yearley's front page of the Post-Journal on Friday, as the Director of Emergency Medicine with UPMC, he is very confident that we can open. And we have to remember the mitigation was to flatten the curve. So our health services and our health care industry can maintain any sort of inflow or influx. So he feels very confident in our local hospitals, although they may be in a rural part of Pennsylvania, New York State, they are linked to Pennsylvania hospitals that are much larger, Allegheny Health Network with Westfield and UPMC with UPMC Chautauqua. So Brooks Hospital, a link with Kaleida, I think is going to help us as well. So I feel confident our healthcare industry has not been overburdened with this. And those are the metrics they're looking for as we begin to reopen.
Now, as for that control group, has there been any discussions within it yet?
Yes, we had a meeting yesterday, a Zoom meeting, and there'll be one, they'll be set up daily at 4 p.m. And that group will meet and discuss. I spoke with Congressman Reed this morning and had a very lengthy conversation with him as to, the regional approach that he has, also an informal with the three regions, Finger Lakes, Western New York, and the Southern Tier. So, we're all working together. There's great collaboration, and we're all looking for the same thing, is to do this in a very safe and responsible manner as we open up New York State.
Do you have any ideas that you plan to bring to the table to try to help inform maybe some of those in Buffalo, kind of the significance of what has been happening here in Chautauqua County?
Well, we have, and I spoke yesterday that, we are a unique area. Our numbers have been relatively low. And if you look, Warren County's numbers have been low, and Erie County, the eastern portions of that county that border Chautauqua County, until last week, the 2nd Battalion had not had a positive case of COVID-19. And that's the battalion that neighbors Erie County to the east. So I think if you look at the low prevalence of those areas altogether, again, in the southern part of our county, it is very indicative that our numbers have been low. We have not had active cases in quite some time. in the 3 battalions of Chautauqua County. Actually, excuse me, the 2 southernmost, the 3rd and 4th battalions. So I think that's important, and I bring those numbers to the table when we discuss the reopening. That, looking at, we border Pennsylvania, and as long as those numbers stay where they are, we'll be successful. But that isn't without a possibility, and we've understood that. And my COVID-19 response team and our medical directors, 3 of them, along with our public health director, have said we could potentially see an increase, but the position is our hospitals and healthcare system will be able to maintain and easily handle any sort of increases that we've had.
Now, it seems like for at least yesterday, there were no new cases reported here locally. Some call this a good step. Do you agree with that? And do you think that how do you interpret this data, which seems to change quite often?
Well, it changes quite often. You have to look at it, in a variety of ways. And one of them is, are we going to see 1 or 2 cases a day? We might see that for the next 2 to 3 months. We're not sure. We haven't had that spike in cases where we've had 5 cases one day, 10 cases the next day, another 10 the following. We've maintained relatively low numbers, and we haven't seen those drastic increases that you've seen in Erie County and other places across the state. So I think, having said that, we will see cases here and there, but we have to remind everybody that even if you see a case, does not mean those are steps backwards. A lot of our cases are not hospitalized. If we look at the information as provided, we have not had a hospitalization between April 8th and April 27th. So that's pretty significant when you look at the number of positive cases. And we have not had those cases in an ICU, on ventilators, and it's those types of situations. So our hospitalizations have been relatively minor. They have been admitted, but again, it's not the high ICU intensive advanced life support services that are required as you would in other places.
Now, when we look at this COVID-19 case map, which is a great tool provided in most counties and very descriptive here in Chautauqua County, it seems like the most concentrated cases are in the area that's closest to Dunkirk, and includes many municipalities besides Dunkirk there for sure. Is there a reason why those cases are there? And do you think that has a correlation to, traffic coming on the 90, connecting other areas of our region?
I don't necessarily know as if it's, traffic going from 90 into Erie, but I know that a lot of residents in the northeastern portion of Chautauqua County do a lot of business in New York or in Erie County, and they either work there, or it's easier for them to, do their grocery shopping in Erie County as opposed to coming into Chautauqua County or driving south into Chautauqua County. So when you look at that and their prevalence of commuting back and forth with Erie County, that's why we could see that increase in cases in the north. But again, it's unique. Not everyone is somebody that's been in and out of Erie County. We've had people that have traveled elsewhere in New York State during this time period as well. So we take all that into consideration as we look at that. But, some would say, well, that's a reason we should stay closed or not open before Erie County, because those residents would flock to Chautauqua County, potentially, infect the county. Those numbers, that's a hypothetical. We haven't seen that proven, but, it is unique. We have a very small border with Erie County. If you look at Cattaraugus County, a much larger geographic border with them, and we do not see those high numbers in Cattaraugus County. So again, why the northeastern part of our county is so high, we're still looking at that. But again, it's a unique observation as we've been monitoring that all along.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, the data is so new, and this is so new that, as you mentioned, it changes a lot. I want to shift gears a little bit. Your office announced this morning that tomorrow a military flyover will be visiting our area. What's the significance of having this here, and how did this come about?
Well, yeah, I'm getting chills just sitting here talking about it. It's really interesting. One of the, Mr. Gerasi is a technology teacher from Fredonia Central School, and he reached out to my office and asked if we could make a phone call. Well, the manner was a little challenging at first, but as I watched the commercial or news feed from WGRZ Channel 2, I noticed in the upper corner the F-35s were coming out of Vermont, and a good friend of mine was the former Air Wing commander for the Vermont Air National Guard, the Green Mountain Boys. So I reached out to him and asked what he could do as far as, to get something for us down here. He made some contacts, and we were confirmed over the weekend that between 12:15 and 12:30, the F-35s will break from their formation, travel through Chautauqua County. So I advise everybody in the northern part of Chautauqua County to look into the skies tomorrow between 12:15 and 12:30. And then tomorrow between that same time, they will be flying north to south over Chautauqua Lake. So really significant when you look at the availability of a training exercise and the military understanding to divert to pay tribute to our healthcare workers, first responders, and I've also asked to pay tribute to our high school seniors who've had their senior year cut short. So a little tribute to everybody here in Chautauqua County. So I urge and I hope we get a good weather forecast for tomorrow between 12:15 and 12:30. But I ask everybody to look over the skies of Chautauqua County and especially Chautauqua Lake and look at the tribute that'll be given to us by the Green Mountain Boys and their fighter jets.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we can hold Dakota to that and he can provide one for us. We've had a lot of people this morning ask us, what do you think the best place to watch the flyover will be? I know you said they'll be flying across the Chautauqua Lake north to south. Do you have any insider info that you could share?
No, I wish I did. I might, if I were to, it would probably be very last minute. But, obviously we want to remind people, do not stop on the Chautauqua Lake Bridge. 86, please do not stop and watch from that point. It's still a main thoroughfare. It's an interstate. Do not watch it from the bridge. But anywhere along those areas where you would have a good vantage point of the lake, there are some higher elevations that would get a good view from the lake. So anywhere where you might be able to get a good view of Chautauqua Lake, I think that would be a good place to watch. I would guess that whenever organizations or fighter groups like this are able to do something, they usually make it worth their while and worthwhile for those who are watching. I know the same group did a flyover at a Bills game we were at a couple of years ago, and it was nothing short of breathtaking when you look. And these will be the F-35 stealth fighters, which are the newest arsenal in the U.S. military. So I think it'll probably be one of the first times I'll be flying over Chautauqua County. So it's really unique, the experience we'll have tomorrow. And any glimpse, I think, is going to be worthwhile. So I urge everybody, remember social distancing. And I think anywhere in Chautauqua Lake, we should be able to get a pretty good view.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for it myself. I know I'll be stuck here doing the news at noon broadcast, but we're going to try to have some cameras out there and see if we can't capture it and bring it to people live here. Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell joining us today. Sir, thank you so much for your time and for joining us on the broadcast.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's get a check of our weather now with Dakota. And Mr. Hunter, you got any good news in regards to that forecast tomorrow?
I do have some good news for that. But before we get to that, we have to get through today. And I threw this out on Saturday. We broke a record, which we told you we were likely going to. We had the coldest May 9th ever in the city of Jamestown, dating all the way back to 1890. That is when active weather records started being kept here. The high was 35 degrees. The old record low maximum was 42, set all the way back in 1902. So we broke a 118-year record on Saturday. Today, are we that cold? Well, no, but we do have some light rain showers falling. 36 at the airport right now, which is actually where all of the weather records are kept. Northwest wind of 14. We got a wind gust at 17, so it is a little bit breezy out there today. And the wind chill is down to 27. So not feeling like May right now, but hold on, we'll get there. So just yucky this afternoon. Today's just not a very good day. It's cold. We've got some rain and snow showers, breezy. It's just a gross day. But the sunshine returns tomorrow. Great for the military flyover, but it's still going to be cold though. So don't let that fool you. The sun is going to be deceptive out there. The cold air is going to linger, but like Blake Shelton once said, there's a neon light at the end of the tunnel. tunnel. And you can see it here on the current 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. We see the jet stream pulling north, and when the jet stream pulls north, that's going to allow a ridge to set up, and it's basically going to allow that southern air to basically infiltrate into the northeast. So we're talking spring finally is going to come our way, and it looks like it's going to stay probably throughout the end of the month. But before we get to that, we have to go through tonight. The Weather Service has reissued freeze warnings for all of Western New York. There's a frost advisory for Erie and Crawford counties in Pennsylvania. Again, temperatures below freezing tonight. Again, the early planners know this, that frost and freeze conditions can harm tender vegetation. I actually expect these to be reissued again for tomorrow night, so we're not quite out of the woods out of this yet. First Defense Doppler radar shows you a few light rain and snow showers moving across central and northern Chautauqua County. These are all moving to the east-northeast, and we're going to be in between this basically throughout the day. Kind of noteworthy, severe thunderstorm warning here for Yates and Seneca County in central New York. This storm is moving east, not impacting any parts of western New York, but kind of a noteworthy thing that's about to expire, I think, in another couple of minutes. But there's a low pressure area that's actually sitting right on top of us, and as I mentioned earlier, that low is just spinning right on top of us. You can see all the clouds spinning in that circular motion. So again, that is the reason why the clouds are going to hang with us through the day, because that low is right over us. A future scan depicts it. The rain and snow showers continue through the day, and especially early tonight. And then as we go through the overnight, the clouds partly cloudy skies. Frost redevelops once again, but tomorrow, there's going to be just a few clouds in the sky, but who cares? I mean, temperatures are still going to be cold though, into the mid to upper 40s, but there's going to be a lot of sunshine to go around through the area. So again, there's that chance for that early rain and snow shower. Very cold temperatures in the deepest valleys, upper 20s, most everybody else, especially into the lower 30s. How about the next 7 days of your life that are on the screen right now? 45 will be the high tomorrow. Great for the military flyover, but again, that's still cold, well below average. 57 on Wednesday, a great day with lots of sun. Here we go. We're warming up once again, but again, along with that warmth comes a few rain and thunderstorms Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but temperatures back to spring and actually right around average to where they should be. News continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. We will see you right back here tomorrow at noon. Stay safe and have a good afternoon.